Hey, thanks for tuning in to I'm Making a Mess with Darlene Morgan. And I know it's been a little bit since I have posted anything. And my usual spiel is I will do my best, as I constantly tell you guys. All I can say is please continue to listen. I promise one of these days I'll get my crap together. It's not like things have been completely horrible, but things have really been happening. But this post in particular, or this video in particular, really digs into the holiday. Yesterday was the 4th of July, and I can still feel it in my voice. It sounds so annoying. Like, I can feel my voice about ready to crack. And when I listen to the videos, I sound so pathetic. I mean, I recorded the transcript earlier today, and I really, really want to change how I sound, because it's like the most depressing voice ever. Not that there's anything wrong with depressing or being that way. I guess that's how I was really feeling this morning. And that was the reason why I wanted to get on here and just do a recording of what I was feeling and what I continue to feel. And yeah, just share it with you guys. So, with some voice changes and doing my best to not sound too monotonous, here it goes. Remember, I'm making a mess on YouTube and Facebook. And so please share, subscribe, and let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you're or have been going through the same thing. Oh, and don't forget that I have my own website now, I'm Making a Mess. And so, yeah, check us out. Check me out. Not like check me out like that. Oh my gosh. Anyway, all right. So, I started out the recording this morning, and I went into, like, how am I feeling? Not good. Not good at all. I'm trying to really get over this depressed state of mind, this cracked voice, this pain in my heart, this pain in, like my heart is trying to swell up in my throat. This isn't going well. Okay. How am I feeling today? Like crap. I want to say like shit. I'm trying not to cuss. But when you're feeling something and there's only like a few words that can really describe it, sometimes you just got to get it out. So I really apologize. I went to work yesterday on the 4th of July. I got up, got dressed, I drove to work. It was all very robotic, very mindlessly. And when I saw like half the cars gone, I texted one of my coworkers and I said, "Hey, are you coming into work?" And they replied, "No, I was told we had the day off." And so I texted my boss, and she said, "Yeah, all full-time paid staff, all full-time staff get the day off." And she replied with, "Go home. You've been working too much." Yeah, that's me. But it's not like I'm working a lot to try to, because I'm behind or anything. I like my job. I like being there, and I'm doing a garden club that I really take a lot of importance to. I really love it. And so I wanted to be there. But when she said go home, I'm not going to lie, it was like telling me that you didn't have a job. It was something that kind of drove a dagger in my heart, and it flared up this really minor panic attack because I was all set to work all day, probably to avoid some things. And so when she said that, I panicked. And I immediately thought, what am I going to do? I can't go home. All of my girls were gone for the day. It was the 4th of July. Normally, I don't have a problem spending time by myself. I mean, I've spent the whole day by myself here. I really have no problem with it. But I think it's when things come up unexpectedly and you already have your mind set to do something. If you suffer from anxiety or depression, and certain things bring up a lot of grief in you, it's almost as if like all these normal things that you normally would do when unexpected turn of events come out, they don't normally bother you. But in this case, since it was a holiday, I just really did not want to come home. I knew that if I did, transparent moment, I would probably start drinking way too early just to forget about what the day was. And yeah, I'm really sorry about that, but I'm not gonna lie. So I texted a friend whom I love very much, and I love her family. And fortunately, I had all my paints with me and a canvas I've been working on. And I asked her if I could come to her house and just spend a couple hours with her. And she said, of course, we would love some Darlene time. And so when I left work, I went to Bath and Body to get my birthday gift and ended up spending way too much money there because it was their 75% off sale. But it was a good time to get my daughters some of their favorite lotions, and I ended up getting my girlfriend's daughter something, and I got my neighbor something because she walks our dog all the time, and I wanted to do something nice. And then when I left there, I went to Cookie Crumble, and I bought myself, my own cookies that I can enjoy over the next couple of days. And it was a really cute little box, you know, like 3 different cookies. And yeah, my youngest daughter asked me this morning before she left for the amusement park. She said, so those cookies you got from Cookie Crumble, were those just for you? And I said, yeah. She's like, oh, okay. And of course I put them in my fridge, which was a very smart move on my part. I'm struggling, but I'm smiling, and things are getting a little bit better. But I'm going to transition over to what I already wrote. I've already gone through 8 minutes, and so I better get on it because I've got a couple of pizzas to cook, and I need to meet my girlfriend at the coffee shop because we are going to paint a wall and put up some decorations. So here we go. Yeah, so this pain and hurt and grief that I was feeling has been hanging on, and it started yesterday afternoon when I knew I had to come home, and it kind of subsided when I went to my friend's house. And then no sooner did I leave her house, I went to the store, and that's when it started really like just enveloping me. Like it just started taking over, and I got home, and I just kind of started busying myself. But this year was completely different for a 4th of July. The 4th of July always brings back some memories that I'm not comfortable with. And it's interesting how, you know, so many years can go by. And in this case, 7 years can go by. And you think, man, 7 years, you know, 365 days per year. You're looking at over 10,000 days. if my math is right. you'd think that a person would get over something, but this year was completely different because one of my daughters spent the weekend with somebody that I absolutely can't stand because I know who they are. And I have a lot of horrible memories of the 4th of July weekends that I cannot seem to control. No matter what I do, the 4th of July comes up and it just takes me back to days when I know what was happening and I know what the girl's dad was doing and how it wasn't controlled. And it just does not make me feel good. And I really hope I'm not getting that voice again. So I'm going to try to change my tone here. So it was really horrible memories, because it was a lot of controlling something that I know I cannot control. I couldn't control it back then. I don't know what makes me think I can control it now. And we think we can try to control the situation when it's happening, especially when there's an addiction involved, but that never works. The time to try to help somebody is definitely not in the moment. And I think that was the time that I constantly lectured and I spoke and I voiced my concern and opinions was always the day before and the day of. And of course, by then, the girl's dad was already drinking and it just didn't matter. I mean, let's face it. I mean, what is alcohol? Is liquid courage. And so once you're feeling that alcohol, there's no way that anybody is going to get through to you. I would like to see a study that says it is possible to talk sense into someone when they are intoxicated. So keep that in mind. So anyway, I never can grasp the idea of what was happening all those years and how I tried to do something about it. And even now to this day, how it's never been acknowledged, how this person contributed to his demise and what it felt like to myself and the girls and how it continues to feel and the things that I've read on his phone that continue to haunt me, knowing how that did contribute to his death. I take full accountability. So realize that, when someone dies and it's self-harm, self-inflicted, there's the notation or there's the consideration that it could be suicide. We all have a part in that. We miss signs, we miss signals. If you're not familiar with trying to help somebody, the chances are that you think you're doing something right, but you're not. And it takes a lot of knowing what to say, when to say, and how to say it. But anyway, so I feel like as a single mom who's been able to maintain a lot of structure in her life for myself and my daughters, I have to think about those blessings. I have to think about, look, Darlene, yesterday was really crappy and there's nothing you can do about it. However, what you can do something about is how you're raising your girls and take a look at what you've done to this point. And it's been all very good. I mean, why can't I just focus on that? Why can't I just say, Darlene, freaking let all this crappy stuff go. All the people, not all the people, okay, a handful, literally, that have made your life a living hell for a good portion of your life, you know what? You don't have to deal with them anymore. You know, that's fine. I don't have to deal with them anymore. But when they are in my daughter's life and they are using her and she can't see that because she is so caught up in the moment and the love of being like in a place where she doesn't have to think about these things, you can't compete with that. You know, I want my daughter to have a great time, but not at the expense of someone's misery and how they're just simply using her. I'd rather spend my money and go get her her own freaking boat. I know that's ridiculous. I would never do that. But I am doing other things that I feel like contribute to what I hope is her happiness, and I'm just doing a crappy job of it because she still went to their house, which was, you know, so many miles away on a highway that I absolutely dislike, and she had a really good time, and I couldn't shut my mouth about it. I know I probably ruined a portion of her time there, and I'm sorry for that, but I think in the moment when she is there and I know that she's only there to prove a point to someone, it just doesn't feel genuine, and it hurts that much more. And it hurts even more when she puts pictures on a social media account that is tagged with at my favorite place with my favorite people. Listen, I'm her mom. I'm probably never going to be her favorite person because I put my foot down and I say what needs to be said. It doesn't mean that, you know, you don't want to be that favorite person in your daughter's life. It just means when your kid says those things, it just hurts like hell. You know, I wrote here that I feel things so greatly that even when I'm working with my clients and they get upset at something I do wrong, I feel the strong sense of shame and failure when it happens and when they get upset with me, and it hurts me right down to my core, probably because, you know, I don't want to fail, but I know that failure is inevitable. It's just that no matter what I do or how hard I try, failure is going to happen. And, you know, for the most part, I can use it to help me realize where I've gone wrong and what I can do differently the next time. And how do I know this? Because I've been an expert at failure. I have failed for so many times, 1,000 times. And fortunately, when I make mistakes, now I know how to best evaluate them and determine what went wrong. It doesn't mean that, you know, if I'm approached with the situation again later down the road that I'm going to remember what to do. I mean, I'm human and I have feelings. And when those feelings come up, sometimes it's kind of hard to corral them, especially when it comes to anger and hurt and just, you know, being upset with someone. I know that hate is absolutely wrong, but what about despise? What about despising someone and who they are so much that it can ruin your night and your day? You know, it's almost as if despising this person it makes me feel, I'm not even kidding, it makes me feel like the girl's dad is still here. It's as if my child is the one that this person that is despicable is using to replace their dad. And not for the reason of loving my child or wanting them to be there, but instead it's like to remove the guilt and shame that they are feeling and refusing to acknowledge their part in his death. Um, and I dislike having that anger and pain within me because, I don't want to live out the rest of my days having those feelings and spending my time just having this burnt up feeling inside of me. I don't want to have that anymore. I want to live my days beautifully and with contentment and with peace. And I've kept my daughter from going to this residence for years for good reasons because it's a dangerous highway and I didn't want her driving on it. And I knew that exposure to this particular person can really alter who she is. And she's already so freaking susceptible to molding herself to the people around her. And I'm sorry to say that. I really am sorry. And it's making me realize something. Why wouldn't they use her? Because she's easily molded to be whom they want her to be. And that's what he was too. And especially when given alcohol. That's pretty shitty, isn't it? Excuse my language, but it really is. I don't know if she drank there. I'm going to say she probably didn't. But it's the fact that she's young and she's susceptible. Yeah, that wasn't even written in the text here. But it was just a revelation to me. And I'm really, really sorry to my daughter for thinking this. But when you feel something and all of a sudden it just makes you realize that you might be right, that just does not feel good. And you just want to go grab that person that you love so much and say, stop. Please, please open your eyes and see what's happening here. Because you need to be your own person, not whom someone else wants you to be. Because you saw where it got your dad when he tried so hard to fit in and try to be everything that someone else was. I really got off track here. So I'm just going to try to pick up where I can, where it says, I have to use these days that I have left wisely, because it's not what Jesus, Jesus wasn't resentment, hurt, and pain. I mean, yeah, he went through all that, but he wasn't all about the anger and stuff. And that's not what I want to be. And, it's not who he was or who he is now. And as cliche as it sounds, I want to be more like Jesus. Maybe that's why when I make a mistake at work with one of the clients and I know it hurts them, I feel it deeply. I feel it just as much as them. And I try to justify it as a learning opportunity. I use justify very carefully because it's not like I don't want to do this and use it as a learning tool. I do want to use it because I want to know what to do differently the next time. I want to know what not to say or what to say instead. So, if I can show anybody an ounce of forgiveness and grace and apology, then I feel like I am doing Jesus's part, even when I screw up. And when I screw up, whether it's here at home or it's at work, I want to be able to show those people around me who have experienced it, forgiveness and what it means and how much and how important, it truly is. I don't know that I can ever forgive this person that my daughter was with yesterday, or persons, I should say, because I just don't want to. I'm not ready. I don't know I ever will be. I don't see them ever acknowledging their part in his death. And I know that's a huge reason why they hate me so much, because, you know, when you call out something and it really hits home, you know, it's not going to feel good to hear those kind of things. So when somebody tells you something that you know is true, that you've been trying to avoid in the moment and for years to come, it does not feel very good at all. You just have like all this pride, you know, that is surrounding you, and you just want to like hate others and, you know, forget about them, and you know, use other people to make yourself feel better and get back at them. So, you know, I get really disturbed because they haven't let go of trying to get back at me. I know that. I mean, that's never going to end. And I guess when they don't let go of it, I don't let go of it. I hate that I allow that. I hate that I allow that to interrupt my days. I thought those days were over. But when my daughter was gone this weekend, it just literally stirred up all these feelings in me that I never wanted to feel again. And so, yeah, I really hope that I get past this really soon, because I'm still feeling it and it does not feel good. The last thing I wrote here is, you know, when things happen at my work and like the clients get mad at me or I get disappointed in them or something, the one thing I could say for sure is the tough life that they have gone through and are going through now still gives them so much wisdom that I cannot even fathom. And I have learned so much from them. And I thank God every day for that. So this is Darlene signing off and telling you that grief sucks, anxiety sucks, depression sucks, and resenting people and having some really hard memories come up on a holiday does not feel good. And if you know how to get past that and not let it affect you, then please tell me. I'd love to know. All right, I gotta go. Love you guys. Please share, subscribe, tell others about it, and let me hear what you think. All right, take care. Love you. Oh my gosh, please, please, I never, ever let go of Jesus or God or my Savior when I'm going through stuff like this. So no, they don't make it easier to get past. They don't take these things away, but they do help you to get through it all, because with God, everything is possible. Doesn't take it away, but does make it possible. All right, so ask him to come into your heart and your mind and to be your Savior. All right, bye.